Hey guys, good morning. I wanted to read something I want to read an article that's online. It's from nineplanets.org. And one of the things that I like to do is to read about certain things, read about the planets, read about nature, uh, watch shows about nature and the planet. And I wasn't always interested in those type of things, but actually I've always liked things about nature from I was young, but just certain things as I get older, I get more interested in certain things. And not only that, walking with God and knowing God, I think sometimes when we look around at a lot of the things that we are not paying attention to, just seeing God at work and just seeing the miracles that happens around us every day, it's very easy for us to look at what's not happening, the specifics, while really ignoring the other fascinating things happening right around us. As we talk about the exchange of oxygen, we get oxygen from the plants and the trees, and as we inhale oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide, that's what plants need to live. And this exchange goes on between us and trees and flowers, and we're not running out of it. There are billions of people on the planet, and yet we don't run out of fish. We're not running out of food, or we're not running out of, the way we're consuming fish and things in the sea as a whole as humans, it makes no sense that there's still so much left. Now, granted, there's certain things that can change how much fish are in certain parts of the earth, right? Certain areas that people live. Climate change, all these different things can really change how a specific type of fish that may come to an area that may be in scarcity for a certain group of people. But what I'm saying on a whole, at the rate that we consume food, there should be far less. But yet there's not. And there's constant miracles going on around us. But entertain me, if you will, and listen to this. The 9 planets. I like to read things that have .org on it or .gov. I mean, you can look at .com, but anything that has .org, .gov, .edu at the end, those are really, really reliable as far as information. Again, no knock to .com. It very much can be. But your .orgs, .edu, your .gov sites, that's legit. So let's talk about what would happen if there was no moon. We think about the moon, right? And we think, oh, the moon is there to give light. But the moon has even more. The moon has more functions than just gravity. Than just light. Gravity is one of the things. So let's talk about that. What would happen if there was no moon? The moon holds a significant relationship with the earth. If there were no moon, our daily lives as humans would significantly change. Okay? The first and most obvious change would be during the nighttime. Nights would be unbelievably darker, as the moon provides light to the earth during the night hours by reflecting light from the sun. Scientists suggest that without human-made lighting, we would not be able to see our hands in front of our face without the moon during the nighttime. You hear that? So they're saying that even with our human-made lighting, we will not be able to see our hands in front of our face without the moon during the nighttime. even with our lights. So even if we have a flashlight, it would still be significantly dark. The light that we have, the lights in our house, everything, it's all because of the moon. So without it, it will still be significantly darker. Okay? So let me read that again. Scientists suggest that without human-made lighting, we would not be able to see the hands in front of our face without the moon during the nighttime. However, not only will nights be darker, but our days will change as well. As the Earth exerts gravitational pull, the moon also exerts a gravitational pull. So they're pulling against each other. So as the Earth exerts a gravitational pull, the moon also exerts a gravitational pull on the Earth. The moon pulls on the Earth and slows down the Earth's rotation. The moon's pull creates a bulge near the Earth's equator, which means there is a lower level of water at the poles. So basically, for some of you that may have forgotten, the Earth's equator, it's basically just, it's like an imaginary line, okay? Just imagine seeing the Earth and there's this imaginary line that would split the Earth in half, okay? So like it's going from east to west or west to east, however you want to say. It just goes straight across, splits the Earth in half, okay? And the equator is like at 0 degrees, but that's besides the point. So just imagine it just being cut in half, okay? Going straight across the Earth. So the moon has a gravitational pull, okay? That would, imagine there's just a little bulge right there near the Earth equator, which means there's a lower level of water at the poles. And then there's just the North and the South Pole. So that means as the moon is pulling at the gravitational pull from the moon pulls at the Earth's equator right at the center, it lowers the level of water at the North Poles and the South Pole. So that means it's just at the top of the Earth and at the bottom of the Earth. So if you could just imagine, like if you put down a napkin, a square napkin, right flat on the ground, and imagine like if you pinched in the very middle of that napkin, which will be considered like the equator, and then you just pull it up while you're pinching, and you notice how the top and the bottom of that napkin would lower. That's what the moon is doing in terms of keeping the ocean levels lower, okay? I'm sorry if I'm not trying to insult anybody who already knows, but everybody doesn't know. So allow me to do that. So, all right, so this is what the moon does. Let's keep reading. The moon's gravity causes the oceans on our planet to rise and fall. So if there was no moon, the ocean will not be moving the way that it does. As the water moves, there's a slight friction between the moving water and the spinning Earth. Okay, so as the water moves, the moon's gravity is pulling, okay, doing its thing with our Earth. There's a slight friction between the moving water and the spinning Earth. This friction causes the Earth rotation to slow slightly. So our Earth is already moving. The Earth is spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour that we happen to not feel. And then the ocean is moving, right? Because of the moon pulling the Earth's because of the moon's gravity, and because of those two movements and the friction, the resistance between the two is what gives us the perfect rotation. If there was no moon, then the water might spread across the planet equally and reduce the amount of friction, right? This means that the Earth would not slow. which means that the hours of our days will change. Suddenly, without the moon, our days will last between 6 and 12 hours rather than the 24 hours we experience now. If our days became this short, then we would have significantly more days in our calendar year. Instead of 365 days in a year, we would have over 1,000. Since the moon affects the altitude and movement of Earth's water, our ocean tides would shrink. High tide occurs where the Earth bulges toward the moon, or where the moon pulls the oceans towards it. On the opposite side of our planet, the Earth bulges away from the moon, creating another high tide. The low tide occurs on either side of the bulges. Remember that the Earth is rotating, so high tide becomes a low tide as the Earth turns. Scientists suggest that without the moon, tides would be 1/3 the size they are now. High tides would be much smaller than they are now, and low tides would be even lower. This is because the sun would be influencing the tides, not the moon. However, the sun has a weaker pull, which will decrease the tides. The change in the Earth's rotational speed and a change in the Earth's tilt would also affect the Earth's weather patterns. If the moon slows down the Earth's rotation, then the moon also affects the wind and wind speeds on our planet. Without the moon, we will see an increase in wind speeds. Winds will become much faster and much stronger without the moon. Additionally, we might see a change entirely in seasons. The moon affects the angle of the Earth's tilt. Currently, the Earth sits at a 23.5 degree tilt. This means our planet leans slightly to one side as it sits in space. The tilt creates what we know as seasons and changing weather. Without the pull of the moon, this tilt might change. Either the tilt will become extreme, leading to extreme and severe seasons, or the tilt will decrease and we will see almost no seasons at all. The moon influences life as we know it on Earth. It influences our oceans, weather, and the hours in our days. Without the moon, tides would fail. Let me say that again. Without the moon, tides would fall, nights would be darker, seasons will change, and the length of our days would alter. Guys, you can see that. It is at 9planets.org. I read that for a reason. We will look at everything, and I've been guilty of it, looking at things that's not going the way that it should, and the miracles, the things that we may take for granted and not even think about. We just see the moon. Oh, the moon is for light. Not realizing its position, not realizing the important function of it, not realizing how God has put everything in place for us to be able to thrive, to provide us a light, to provide us the perfect weather, even though it's not always perfect, but definitely it's not extreme or harsh, to prevent the oceans from overlapping and taking over, to protect us from walking in utter darkness. You know, the Bible talks about, utter darkness in a place where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth and things are so extreme and things are hot and things are terrible. And God is just keeping the perfect balance for us here on this planet. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Let's just be thankful. As I read this, I just kept saying, thank you, Lord. Thank you so much for how you are keeping our planet perfectly balanced. Despite what people may want to say about this and that, I actually heard some scientists talking about when the sun is going to go out, there's going to come a time that the sun will no longer be giving off its light. And I'm sitting there thinking, you guys know nothing. You know nothing. You may study what you think you know, but God is sovereign. And I'm not saying that scientists do not have knowledge. They were created for this, but the ultimate scientist, the ultimate omniscient is God. And it is just amazing to me to just see how our planet, number one, us just being in space, and we're not sitting on anything, we're just floating in space, the earth. And what is consistent around us is the sun and the moon and our seasons and our ability to breathe, and the earth hydrological cycle, which is just how we continue to get rain, and how it all works, and the evaporation and condensation and then rain again, and the whole cycle all over again. It's a miracle, guys. And let's just be thankful for these things. Let's just be thankful for how consistent God is in ensuring that we have what we need to live. Because honestly, the most important thing is life, the breath that's in us, being able to eat, being able to drink water. These things that we may not think about till we don't have it. No one was thinking how precious toilet paper was until there's a time there was none, when the pandemic started, or how precious water was. And of course we saw that when there was great value in getting it, people started to jack up the prices, right? We saw toilet paper for $20 now, and water and basic things were just double and triple. So sad to see. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reading. And God's amazing.